So you recorded in 3 weeks, which is very quick. Was that a conscious decision that you wanted to make an album fast?
I've done quite a few. I mean, So to So, I was
Yeah.
only in the studio for about 3 weeks. Imaginary Kingdom, I was only in Nashville for 3 weeks, although it's a 6-week record, but they were just MP3
Yes.
and me stuff. So, 3 weeks says about my tolerance level, I think. I like performing and getting it out, not second guessing and not spending days and weeks and months kind of in front of the screen, moving things around. And
Yeah.
that can be brilliant as well, but it's not for me.
And where did Ethan Allen come into play? Did you know him from working with Daniel Lanois?
I knew he had worked with Daniel Lanois. I was interested in Daniel Lanois and his work with Bob Dylan particularly. And I love the mystery of that record and the fact that you could just tell it was people actually playing together at the same time.
Yes.
So I kind of asked around and found out who had worked with Lanois a lot, and Ethan has spent 6 years in New Orleans with him, so I figured he'd learned a thing or two,
Now you've got a big MySpace community. How do you feel that sort of change in the scope of the way people hear music? Do you like the fact you can connect with your fans that way?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I don't, communicate back to them very often. I do blog a little bit occasionally, and there'll be occasional, like there was a singer from America called Eileen Rose, and she sent me a lovely note asking to be a friend, and I sent one back. She explained herself, who she was, and I clicked on her photo and listened to her music and thought she was great. She ended up supporting me in America on my tour up there. So,
wow.
That can happen.
That's great.
You just bypass the whole industry, and that was wonderful.
And your new video clip you've got on there, that's a very nice clip.
Oh, have you seen that?
Yeah, I had it this morning, yeah.
Yeah, in the backyard with Elliot and her spacesuit.
Yes.
Yeah, no, we did that in about 2 hours with a friend who's a cinematographer, and no budget. There wasn't even a concept or a plan or anything. We just thought, let's make a home movie.
Looks really good.
Thanks.
Just the way he's lit it and the spacesuit and everything's fantastic.
Yeah.
You tend to sort of put your autobiography in your set list. Are you happy with, could you ever conceive yourself writing another way?
I've been asked about that. There's a publisher in New Zealand who's been on at me to do a memoir. And I've sort of hummed and hawed about it because I do love writing prose, and I always thought that I'd be more of a prose writer when I was a kid. But I've been sidetracked into songs, and I love writing songs, and I think it's all there, like you say. There's enough there. If I was to write a true memoir, a truthful one, multi-dimensional one, I'd have to sort of get into areas that I don't really want to share with the world. I think. You can skim a bit, I suppose. There's different ways of writing. Laziness is part of it too. I mean, it's a hard slog to sit down and write, a full kind of story. The songs are little signposts, and I think that's probably enough.
In terms of the future life of the songs, the musical's coming up, Poor Boy. How did that come about?
It is something that I've wanted to do for a long time. I've always felt. I mean, there's a lot of my songs are very theatrical. When you think about them, there's a larger-than-life quality to Icy Red and Ghost Girl and various songs I've written. So I think it's a natural area for me to go into, but I didn't know really where to take it, and a friend of mine called Lydia Livingston, who lives in Sydney, knows a lot of writers, and she said, why don't you try getting together with Matt Cameron, who's a Melbourne writer, and I didn't know his work, but he knew a lot about me, and we had this one meeting where I threw an idea at Matt. It was about 1.5 years ago. A book I'd been reading about children who remembered past lives, and there's sort of very well documented cases of children who, when they're about, say, 4, 5, 6, they suddenly announce to their families that they don't belong to them, that they belong to another family, and they know a lot about this other family. They can describe things that are later checked out, and it's really weird, and you can interpret it how you will, but some people see it as evidence of past lives. So I was talking about this to Matt, and he loved it, and we wrote a family story, or he wrote a family story with 7 or 8 characters, and we've got Guy Pearce in it, and some other really good actors who can sing. And it is a kind of musical, but I think it's more of a play with songs.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in terms of you playing live, you're coming back in February, I hope to, next year?
Yeah, February, March, yeah, definitely, around Australia. And I'd like to get on some festivals, maybe Byron Bay Blues Festival if I can, and also do inner city gigs and clubs. And, yeah.
Fantastic, great.
Thanks,
Tim.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You ready? This is for Phil. It is, really. Practice slow. You were a blind man who's crying about all the virgins that'll die in your habitual dreams.
me.